Now we look here at this case and we find that it was just the previous case where we predicted on ADC there was, like we did a perfusion in this patient, and what we find here is there is a post-biopsy hemorrhages which are seen on pre-contrast images, and then very quickly this area in the peripheral zone starts taking up contrast, and then the central gland comes up with a lot of contrast, and the peripheral zone also gradually starts becoming concentrated, and then we have a nearly iso-intense kind of, between the two. In fact, the cancer is now showing a little bit of lesser signal compared to the rest of the gland. The same thing when seen on diffusion, we see that this is the area which we are questioning, and this is a low intensity area in the peripheral zone. This was a 65-year-old male with a PSA of 14.59, and on diffusion ADC we found that there is a restriction of diffusion in this area with a value of 0.72, which is pretty low. So this is the normal diffusion weighted trace image, which does not contribute much. In fact, for diffusion weighted imaging, trace images do not contribute much because the effect is not really that apparent. At least I don't depend on them. ADC calculations, yes, we go for that. Now this patient had malignant glands with back-to-back arrangement and confirmed carcinoma. So these are the two techniques that we use: diffusion weighted and dynamic contrast enhanced imaging, and these are the parameters that we use. This is a single shot EPI, and this is a gradient echo based or wipe sequence for DCI, and we give contrast and dynamic contrast enhanced imaging at the rate of 0.2 milliliter per kg IV with a saline flush. Now, if we interrogate these voxels of cancer that we have just shown, you find that the upslope is very steep in the cancerous area with a washout, while the central zone here shows an intermediate kind of pattern, and the opposite peripheral zone, which was normal, shows a gradual plateauing and upslope. Another patient with PSA of 9.8 was having a normal DRE, but having a PSA which was 9.8. T2 weighted images show hypointensity in the left mid zone. But here, when we compare the two sides ADC, this is nearly 13.43, that is within the normal range. And the DWI trace image is of course non-contributory, and on histopathology, this biopsy of this patient did not yield normal granular tissue. Now during this work, the limitation of the work was that we did not have whole prostate resection and mounting of the specimen. We had targeted biopsy on high suspicion on MR localization and hit it repeatedly to get adequate sampling, multiple samples, and try to prove the diagnosis. So inherent flaw may be there in the technique, but still we have to depend on these because this is a data which is pretty good. So the range of ADC in literature for peripheral zone is 1.57 to 1.82, and for cancers it is 0.93 to 1.49. In our experience, which came within the range of this only for these values, but our mean value for normal PZ was 1.4 and for cancers was 0.86. And when we used a cutoff value of 1.16, then we found that it yielded a sensitivity of 82% and a specificity of 81%. So we feel pretty confident, although one has to get used to these dirty images because initially you find it very, very unappealing to actually interpret, but as you go on seeing them, you develop a sense for them. So this is what happened to me also. After 30 patients, I started realizing, oh, it has got useful information in it, rather than, everything looking absolutely, full of different kind of artifacts. Now these are the two cases which again had cancers. I'll go to the next one. Now, in this patient, we see that the first pre-contrast image and the post-contrast, very rapid uptake of contrast, which gradually washes off and then becomes iso-intense to rest of the gland. And if you interrogate this, you find in the cancerous area, there is a very rapid upslope and a rapid downslope, while the normal gland shows a plateau which is pretty flat and the slope is also delayed. So this is the kind of time versus signal intensity curves that you get. But this is a general way of looking at things which I use in all my patients and try to make some kind of assessment about whether we should biopsy a particular area or not. But other more intricate ways of interpreting DCE is either a semi-quantitative analysis, which can use this same time versus signal curves and to quantify vascularity, that is arrival time, time to peak, parametric wash-in, wash-out maps, and superimpose them on the images to have some kind of real appearance of the thing. And on the other hand, one can go for more complex quantitative analysis, which uses a compartmental pharmacokinetic models, mathematical models, to measure contrast concentrations like K-trans and KEP, etc. I think Mr. Rajesh will be talking about this in the subsequent lecture. Again, this is another case. This is the same patient which showed very restricted ADC here. On T2 it was hypo-intense, and on diffusion weighted imaging also this was bright. One of the few cases where I got bright signal on diffusion which was convincing. It was a cancer with a Gleason score of I think 7 to 8, and on dynamic contrast study we see that there is a lot of early enhancement here, and then the central gland enhances, and subsequently this becomes relatively hypo-intense. Again the time signal intensity. Right. In the same patient, slightly below, we see that there is an area here which is having extracapsular spread. The obturator internus is probably infiltrated here, and one can see that these are the images. This is the cancerous tissue, and these are the non-cancerous tissues. In the same area, once we run the spectroscopy, we find that there is higher choline compared to citrate. Right. So we interrogate this area, the normal zone, normal central zone, and we find that normal citrate is there, and in the cancerous area we find that there is high choline. So the other way of since I had a 3 Tesla which did not have spectroscopy which was really standardized at that time, so I depended mostly on dynamic contrast and diffusion weighted imaging. Proton spectroscopy became feasible on my system after VB17 software was established, that is Siemens product, and then now I have started doing it, but my experience in spectroscopy of prostate right now is limited. Of course, this is another important aspect which should be used as a multiparametric method in every prostate cancer patient, where it will combine anatomical and metabolic information. And just to, in very short, see that this is what happens in a cancer. When we have a cancer, then you find that the choline goes up, citrate loss takes place, and in a normal peripheral zone there is a lot of citrate, and there is a peak which is a combination of choline and creatinine, which are difficult to separate out. And finally, if you add polyamines to it, polyamines also get merged into it. And here in this case, one can see that the area which was having this is a post radiotherapy cancer, which is showing this is a normal gland which shows lack of citrate, while the treated area still shows high choline, that is the recurrence of the tumor. And it's a good modality, spectroscopy, for tumor recurrences. Now we will just see a few difficult things. One of them is this area. Central gland normally shows a lot of hypervascularity, and sometimes central gland nodules can become a problem as far as dynamic and DCE is concerned. Here in this case, there was a central gland nodule which on diffusion was hardly showing anything, and on ADC it was not showing anything. Post contrast it was showing a lot of enhancement and washout, and it yielded plasma cells, and therefore at least the cases which can cause confusion are there, and we can have problems there. Then the question about modern imaging lies between 3 Tesla, whether you use 1.5 or 3 Tesla. Now 3 Tesla theoretically is better because of the high signal, faster imaging, very high spatio-temporal and spectral resolution, which are all good for this kind of multiparametric studies. particularly very good for dynamic contrast enhanced studies because the gadolinium becomes more visible on 3 Tesla because of the T1 lengthening. And then we can use a body phase array body coil and replace it with endorectal 1.5 Tesla coil with equal kind of sensitivity. Then we have lastly a multiparametric approach in prostate imaging, which should be the way we image the prostate, and we should develop models for pharmacokinetic models for tissue perfusion, and we should be having a kind of movement towards a higher field strength, which can improve these physiological studies and metabolic studies. And finally, maybe we can include all these parameters into a computer-aided diagnostic kind of system where statistical models can be created to detect cancer by assigning and adding up individual scores given to each of these modalities and add up to give a score which is highly suspicious, moderately suspicious of cancers. And finally, just to show that abscesses in prostate also show diffusion restriction. Here was a case, you can see extremely high bright signal on ADC, low signal on ADC, and here you can see this, and that's a high signal, bright signal on diffusion. And this was very, very low. It was around 4. The value was 4. And therefore, abscesses, although we are normally not doing MR for these patients, these are clinically evident patients with ultrasound is good enough. And another case here.